All right, so before we actually start the structures on the female model, some things that overlap between this model and your previous kidney models. Here's a kidney up here, by the way.
Where? Oh, I see. Oh.
All right, and then you can see if you look at the actual top section, you can see the pyramids right there, right? Okay, and you can also see the ureter from the kidney, which is this. That's the ureter. Okay, and then over here would be the urinary bladder. I didn't realize I was going to twist it. Right, the urinary bladder, and then the urethra. Right, so ureter coming down to the urinary bladder, and there's a urethra. Now, I may need to borrow the other part.
This?
Since you guys are not looking at it, you're looking at your phones. Yes, that's recorded. So you need to identify these structures on the outside also. There's the ureter. Right? There's a urinary bladder. Ureter, urinary bladder. So this is on the left side, this is the right side. Ureters. So far so good? All right. Now, what is this bone here? What specific part of the pelvic bone? Pubic bone. Therefore, this this blue structure here is the pubic symphysis. Pubic symphysis. All right. So this is the pubic bone, and the two pubic bones, left and right, are joined by the pubic symphysis. All right. You know what? Let's continue with this first, and then I'll go down the list. This is the sacrum. All right. If you remember the cauda equina, remember that? Long time ago.
What is that?
You forgot already? Cauda equina. It's not on your list. I'm just letting you know. So from the sacrum, pubic bone, and the lateral structures, the ischial bones, and so on and so forth, you have this layer of muscles. These are skeletal muscles. These are your pelvic floor muscles, also known as your pelvic diaphragm. Okay? Pelvic floor muscles or pelvic diaphragm. All right, so now let's look at your list here, and I'll follow the list. All right, behind the urinary bladder, this hollow tube, this is the vagina. Behind the vagina, this structure is the rectum. Rectum, you know why I looked at you. All right, so bladder, vagina, rectum, from front to back. All right, now on top of the vagina, this structure that is pointing anteriorly, this is the uterus. Uterus. So once again, uterus, vagina, urinary bladder, rectum. Okay? All right, now, this yellow structure here, you can't see it. This yellow structure here, right there, that is the ovary. 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 You can see the other one on this side too. Right there. That's the ovary on the other side. Okay? Now, The ovary has this structure that halfway covers it and then goes into the uterus. This is known as your oviducts, fallopian tubes, or uterine tubes. All those names are correct. This has different parts. All right, has 4 parts. You can see these little portions here. These irregular portions, finger-like extensions. These extensions are known as fimbria. Fimbria. These extensions attach to a wide portion of the tube, right there. That is called the ampulla. Actually, sorry, that is the infundibulum. So one more time, fimbria. This is the infundibulum that the fimbria attach to. Now turn it around and you'll see this wide portion of the tube. This is your ampulla. And then finally, the narrow portion of the fallopian tube where it connects to the uterus, that is called the isthmus. 4 parts. Okay, one more time. Fimbria, ampulla, fimbria, infundibulum, ampulla, isthmus. Fimbria, infundibulum, ampulla, isthmus. If you equate the fallopian tube to your upper extremity, fimbria, your fingers, infundibulum, the palm of your hand, right? Ampulla would be the rest of your arm, and isthmus would be the part where it attaches to the shoulder. Okay, so that is, you hold it out like this, there you go. You then are the uterus with the 2 fallopian tubes attached to it. All right? Any questions about the fallopian tubes, their parts? All right. Now, let's look at the uterus itself now and its various parts. So first and foremost, on the outside, if you notice where the 2 fallopian tubes attach, one is over here, other is going to be on the other side, opposite side. This curved dome-shaped portion of the uterus,
The cervix on this?
fundus. It is the fundus.
Fundus?
Fundus. Just like the stomach has that curved portion above the esophagus, same way this has that curved portion above the fallopian tubes. That is the fundus of the uterus. Okay, the rest of it down here up to this ridge, this is the body of the uterus. Below this ridge down here, all right, and you can see it better on the inside, that is the cervix. Okay, so fundus, body, cervix. So far so good? Any questions? All right, now on the cut section of the uterus, let me just make sure it's on here before I start explaining. Yes, it is. On the cut section of the uterus, you see different layers. The outer portion of the uterus, you can see in this model, it has this whitish line on it. Okay, that is actually the peritoneum on top of it, but this layer is known as your perimetrium. That is your perimetrium. It's on the next page, sorry. Yeah, it's on page 10. Perimetrium. Then this portion here, this lighter pink area, this is muscle, hence this is called myometrium. This deeper portion here, this red and then the tan lining inside it, together this is known as the endometrium. Right? So if you remember, the heart had 3 layers, right? Pericardium, myocardium, endocardium, same way. The uterus has 3 layers. perimetrium, myometrium, and endometrium. Okay, now you can see down here the squiggly lines, and you can see up here nice and smooth cavity. You can use that to differentiate the body of the uterus from the cervix of the uterus. Cervix is going to have this squiggly line in it. So cervix technically is from here to here. That's cervix. Okay. Now, where the cervix, so this little passageway in the cervix, that is known as the cervical canal. That is the cervical canal. Where the cervical canal connects to the uterine cavity, right here, that is known as the internal os, os. Where the cervical canal opens up into the vagina, this is the vagina again, right here, that is called the external os. All right? So one more time, this is the uterus, this is the cervix, cervical canal, uterine cavity, internal os, external os. Any questions so far? So ovaries, fallopian, uterus, cervicals, okay, we did that. Endometrium, we did that. Vagina, we did that. Urinary bladder, urethra, we did all those. Rectum, we did that. All right, so we have a few things left here. The vagina, you can see it on either side. Here's the vagina right there. And you can see the cervix is kind of pointing or protruding, I should say, into the proximal end of the vagina. That means that vagina actually has a ballooned portion that covers sides of the actual cervix. That little space, the ballooning of the vagina around the cervix, that is known as the fornix. Fornix. Now, there are 4 fornices around the actual cervix: anterior, posterior, left lateral, right lateral. Your handout does not distinguish between them. So if you really want to know, this is the anterior portion where the pubic symphysis is. This is the anterior fornix. This is the posterior fornix. Your lateral fornix one is going to be straight down on this side. Other one is going to be straight down on the other side. Okay? Notice that the posterior fornix is the largest, especially if the uterus is in this shape, in this direction, sorry. Uterus can be in different directions, by the way. It can be straight up, could be pointed posteriorly also. Some people have that. And that could be a reason for miscarriage too in some people. All right, so we got the fornix down. All right, now we have the external genitalia. Okay, before I go into the external genitalia, one last thing here I missed. So this was your pelvic floor, pelvic diaphragm. This is your anus. This is your anal sphincter, and anus is right here. All right. Now, external genitalia. And before I begin that, I think this we did before in ANP1. I'll do it here again. Here we go. So if you look at the individual patient, in many cases, the OBGYN doctor will examine the patient in a particular position, laying on the back, where legs are up in stirrup, and then the patient is, actually the doctor is facing the patient, looking at the pelvic area. Now there are 4 landmarks that we use. So if the patient is laying down and you're looking at the patient, the 4 landmarks are going to be pubic symphysis, coccyx, and then your ischial tuberosity. This is going to be your left this is going to be the right. You join these 4 dots. This represents the clinical perineum. All right, so it is listed on your things to know list, clinical perineum. So if I was to actually bring out a pelvis and outline this area, that would be your clinical perineum. Okay. On this model, you can only see half of it. You can't see the clinical perineum in its entirety because it's chopped in half. All right, now let's look at the external genitalia. As a whole, all of the external genitalia are called the vulva. They're also known as pudenda, external genitalia. All right, that's where, if you remember, we just did the in the lecture, we said pudendal nerve. That kind of gives you an idea. It's going to the pudenda in the clinical perineum. All right, so one more time, vulva or pudenda. I always look at vulva and I think of a car. Do you know which car? There you go. I know. All right, now, first structure here listed is this fatty pad, which is present in front of the pubic symphysis. That fatty pad is known as mons pubis. Mons pubis. I think in French, mont means mountain, Mont Blanc, right? In this case, mont pubis, little raised area in front of the actual pubic symphysis. All right. Of course, yellow stuff. What is all this yellow stuff? That's the easy part. Adipose, pubic symphysis. We did that already. All right. Now we have 2 folds of skin, a larger outer fold and a thinner inner fold. Again, you have left and right of these. These are known as your major and minor labia. Okay, we can call them labia majora, labia minora. Okay, so outer one, this fold of skin is majora, larger one, inner one is minora. All right, now we discussed the vagina already. The vagina is going to have an opening in between the 2 labia minora. It doesn't have that, okay. FYI, it's not going to be on the list. That the area between the 2 labia minora, that's called the vestibule. So the vagina is going to open up into the vestibule right here. There's the opening for the vagina. There is the opening for the urethra. Okay, they're both opening up into the vestibule here. All right, then we have, urethra, we got this, okay, one last thing left, and that is the clitoris. So these blue structures, can you see them? Barely, right? Let me turn it around. All right, so these blue structures, 2 of them are actually glands. This comma-shaped structure that goes underneath the pubic symphysis and then goes posteriorly, this entire structure from the beginning all the way to the back right here, that is the clitoris. The tip of the clitoris is called the glans. The rest of the clitoris, you can say it's the body. Now you can also see it on the cut section here. This is not the entire structure, but a small section of it. Again, glans, body. But notice that it goes all the way back here. It's quite extensive. All right. Now, in this model, the labia minora on the left side has been somewhat cut. If it was a complete labia minora, it would extend forward and it would meet up with the other side right here over the glands of the clitoris. So that little, I guess, cover known as the hood, layman's term, that is known as the prepuce of the clitoris. So that covering over the glands of the clitoris made by the union of the two labia minora, left and right, that is the prepuce or the hood of the clitoris. And I believe that is it. We are done. All right.